How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to O2 Productions and welcome back to One Take. And today we are talking about three of the biggest space movies of the last 15 or so years that John and I have both seen. For those who aren't aware, this was sparked by the big success that has come from Project Hail Mary, which we both saw in theaters very recently. So we wanted to do a one take based on that, and we thought, well, we've both seen Project Hail Mary, Interstellar, and The Martian, and we have a lot of thoughts about all three of those. So we figured we'd compare and contrast those three. Of course, there's been other space movies that have come out. You can sound off in the
Right.
comments which other movies we maybe could have compared, but these are three that we've seen that we can discuss, and so we're going to compare all three of them, and we have very different thoughts about them. So our one take today will be
Yeah.
based around which of the three we find the best, which of the three we find the worst, and then the one in the middle. We'll talk about all three a good amount, maybe focusing a little bit more on expanding on our Project Hail Mary thoughts since that's a bit more relevant, but we'll
Right.
dive into all three. So this is probably going to be a pretty long episode here, but I'm excited for it. So I guess we can jump right into it if you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay.
Um,
So we're starting with 45 seconds as we always do,
45
and
seconds.
this is mostly just going to be just giving our list like 1 to 3. Are we just going to do that to start?
Um, yeah, I think that works. I
Okay.
think that works.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the 45 seconds will go very quickly.
Right.
Probably won't even use all of it, but okay. Do you want me to start off with that?
Sure.
Okay.
I will start it whenever you start talking
All right.
about.
Well, it is time to reveal it. So, my personal. Actually, let's start with the worst. Let's start with number three. Number three for me, between Interstellar, The Martian, and Project Hail Mary, is The Martian. Really good movie.
Hmm.
Good time. I like it. All three of these movies are good, at the very least, but one stands high above the rest, and is very clearly my number one, and that would be Interstellar, which I think
Mm.
to you, John, is probably not much of a surprise. But yeah,
Yeah.
so it goes Interstellar 1, Project Hail Mary 2, Martian 3. All good movies, though. All good movies. So there you go. I
Yeah.
dragged it out enough to almost be the 45 seconds.
Yep. There's a timer.
There you go.
Okay.
All right. What do you
Yeah.
got? I think I know yours.
Okay, so I'll just start with my best. My best is The Martian.
Hmm.
Uh, and I'll go with the last. Last is gonna be Project Hail Mary,
Yep.
and then Interstellar is just in the middle. We'll get into the details of why
Yeah,
each is in their place, but
we can
yeah,
break down the
that's
ratings
my
too. I didn't
list.
think about that, but our
Yeah,
specific
we can do that
ratings too.
too.
That would be
We can do that
very
after.
interesting to
Yeah.
reveal that.
All right. I'll just
Okay.
end the timer here.
Yeah. So where do we start with
Okay.
this actually? Do we start with
Um,
I
I
feel
think
like
we should start with the worst. Why is The Martian your worst?
okay. Okay. All right. If we're going to go that way, yeah, that works. The Martian is the worst for me. I just think tonally it's not as up my
Mm.
alley. I very much think that movie lacks a lot of stakes in my opinion,
Mm.
and I didn't feel very much throughout most of the runtime of the movie. There were definitely it's the ups and downs, and it's a pretty fun watch. The visuals of Mars are really good,
Mhm.
but I mean, we're also comparing it against two also very good movies in my opinion. So it is up against
Right.
tough competition. Um, I think the central performance is good for Matt Damon, but we'll get into that. But I actually I have more to
Yeah.
expand on with that. But
Well, I
um,
mean, you can if you want to. Go for it.
no, because I don't want to be jumping around. I don't want to be jumping around. So we're focusing on The
Okay.
Martian. It's
Sure.
this is the one that I've seen the least recently. So I'll be honest, I don't have as
Mm.
much to say about this one. But yeah, the big one is I just think a lack of stakes. I didn't feel fully committed to the story throughout, and yeah, it's still a fun movie though. Still a good time, and I guess this is where I'll just drop my rating. It's a 7.5. I mean, I still think it's a good movie.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
So that's my
Yeah.
last place in 7.5. So that just shows these are three movies that I enjoy all of them to different
Mm.
extents, of course, but still pretty
Okay.
good.
Sure. Actually, I thought your rating would actually be a little bit lower,
No,
but
no, Martian's good.
surprisingly, it's not.
Martian's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Good, but not great for you.
Okay. Now, do you want to counter about the Martian, or do you want to you'll go your number three maybe?
Yeah, I think I'll just stick with my number three, which we saw extremely recently, Project Hail Mary.
Yep.
Um, Actually, pretty much exactly what you think about The Martian is kind of mirrored to how I feel about um, Project Hail Mary. I really didn't like the tone of Project Hail Mary at all. I thought it was almost like they tried to force the comedy so much into it when I thought it should have been a more serious role and movie in general. Like Ryan Gosling, he tried so hard to be funny to the point where it was just like, annoying. And that's usually how I feel about him, but that's besides the point. Um, yeah, honestly, I said this to you before, but maybe if they even like switched roles, like if Matt Damon was the star in Project Hail Mary and Ryan Gosling was the star in The Martian, maybe my thoughts would have changed. Actually, it probably still would have made The Martian worse. But I mean, yeah, Project Hail Mary, I didn't like. I felt also there was no stakes in this. It was way too lighthearted. Um, all the characters, like there was something wrong, obviously going on,
Hmm.
but they were like, "Oh yeah, this is happening," but like they threw in the comedy to kind of just overshadow the problem to the point where you forgot there was even a problem, and we're so focused on a rock alien figure and Ryan Gosling being bros the whole time, and I was like, like I didn't like the ending. I didn't even really like the rock character to be honest. Well, it was fine, but I didn't like the way they um, characterized it. And yeah, my initial rating for it, I'll more than likely rewatch it again, is 3.5,
Mm.
which is crazy for people to hear because I feel like I am the only person on this world that doesn't like this movie.
There's
Yeah,
certainly others, but that is definitely a hot take. But
yeah,
we enjoy hot takes here at One Take, so
yes,
I'm here
mm-hmm.
for it. And this actually works out because since Project Hail Mary is my number two, I guess we can kind of
Yeah,
go back and forth here a little bit.
mm-hmm.
Um, the biggest thing that I just have to I'm gonna say criticize, but it's really not that much of a criticism. Is just
Sure,
I'm so curious how you can feel so differently about Project Hail Mary versus The Martian, because to me, I'm well, they're both written by the same author and the same
right,
screenwriter. And to
mm-hmm.
me, they both feel very, very similar, which is why you'll find
Sure,
out in a second. Well, actually, not even in a second. I'll just say I give Project Hail Mary an 8 out of 10. So
mm-hmm.
it's only half a
Yeah,
point above The Martian because to me, they're very
mm,
similar films. I think
they are,
Project Hail Mary
yeah,
did um, I think Project Hail Mary did the emotion better in terms of like the more
interesting.
in
Okay,
terms of the dramatic side. I
yeah,
personally felt a bit more stakes. I felt a bit more I liked the bond to an extent. I liked the bond between Gosling and Rocky. I do agree that they went a little
mm-hmm.
too far with the comedy, which is I think probably the main reason why you feel so differently between the two is because
Sure,
yes, I think Project Hail Mary goes way more for the comedy, and I do think
mm-hmm.
that's a bit for the worse, and I would agree with that. But that being said,
Right,
I think from a visual standpoint and
mm-hmm.
from an emotional standpoint, Project Hail Mary just worked better for me. Other than
Sure.
that, though, they felt like very similar story. They feel like
Oh
very
yeah,
similar stories to me, which is
uh-huh.
why I don't feel super strongly about one or the other. But I give Project Hail Mary a slight edge. I prefer the
Yeah,
direction in Hail Mary.
okay,
Nothing against Ridley Scott, but I slightly prefer the direction Hail Mary for the most part. I think
mm-hmm.
some of it's a bit rapid at times when unnecessarily so, but
Right,
there's still a lot of cool stuff in it, but 8 out of 10 for me, and
mm-hmm.
that's my number two.
Oh no,
I sort of almost agree about maybe swapping Damon and Gosling, but I think Gosling's good in it.
I don't even know if I agree with what I said.
I
Is the
it's a
thing.
mixed bag. Again,
It
I
is.
want to save the performances until we get to our number ones, but
Mm.
um,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
yeah, talking about the actor specifically, I do want to just
Mm.
ask a question in relation to that. But
It's fair. Yeah.
that's my number two. Is Project Hail Mary. So now let's go to your number two.
Yeah. Number two, I said Interstellar. I rewatched. So actually, I should say when I first, at least the first couple times I watched Interstellar, I was like, wow, this movie is trash. Like I really just did not like Interstellar at all. Like initially, it would have probably um, been worse than Project Hail Mary, but obviously it's
Mm,
above. Um, that was until I was actually told by our buddy Jason, who has helped us out, and you guys have seen, telling me like, because my problem with the whole movie was that the whole, I guess, I don't want to say time travel, but the concept of the use of time didn't make any sense to me. Because like how could Matthew McConaughey be able to push the books out in that moment before he even left to go into space to get to that moment, you know?
hmm
But towards the end, I did understand the whole concept of doing that. I mean how it works, but like understand it now. It's I still it still just doesn't fully make sense to me, but I do have a grasp on it. But to me, I think it's just kind of a boring concept,
what
to
did he
be
say to
honest.
you? Just I'm curious if you remember, or like the general idea. What did he say to you that kind of helped you understand?
I'm pretty sure it was on the lines of think of the story being told backwards in a way. So like the events of at the beginning of the movie, that is the future, I guess. And then the stuff in um I guess the realm or whatever is kind of like almost the present in a way. So like I don't know, it's still a mix up. Um the overall movie itself I thought really dragged. Um it was just kind of, boring to me. There was a lot of empty space and unnecessary stuff in there. Um we're gonna hold off on performances, but yeah, I think my overall rating for Interstellar is probably like a hmm, I don't know, probably like a 5 or 6,
Mm,
maybe
okay,
6 on a good day, more in like the 5.5. I think it's just okay.
okay,
I think it's one of the most overrated movies ever. So
okay. Down the middle,
yeah,
but slightly positive. Ever
it's
ever so
more
slightly.
positive than it was before. So
That's good at
yeah,
least. That's good.
uh,
And of course, Interstellar is my number one. I
yes,
think Interstellar is just way more up my alley. And as I said, Martian and Project Hail Mary are pretty lumped together for me. They're pretty close.
mm,
Interstellar for me is easily well ahead. Just in my opinion,
sure,
I think tonally, if it's more so
mm,
something that it's it it feels the way that I would want a space movie to feel. I mean, I really like
okay,
Christopher Nolan's style of filmmaking. I have multiple movies that are some of my favorites of all time that
mm,
are Christopher Nolan movies, and I think that the story is very gripping throughout.
mm,
I think it still has some moments of comedy, but really it hits things on the dramatic side much heavier, which works for me. I think there's a constant narrative drive for the most part. I think some of the cross
right,
cutting to the Earth was maybe a bit kind of pulled me out a little bit at times, but for the most part, I mean, it
mm,
all works. The technical craft on display is some of the greatest I think ever done. It's just unbelievable the way they
yeah,
visualized space and black holes and all of that
it
stuff.
does look good, yeah,
Matthew McConaughey is just insane in
hmm,
Interstellar. I think it's one of my
yeah.
favorite performances ever.
Oh,
Um,
ever.
Probably ever. There's
Interesting. Okay.
it's kind of
That's a pretty
tricky.
good take.
It's kind of tricky because he has his like McConaughey isms that like he very much feels
Yeah.
like Matthew McConaughey, but at the same time like he just he just brought it all to the role, and like
Hmm.
he had to do so much in the movie, and he really
Yeah.
is like the emotional core of the movie, him as well as obviously his daughter.
Yeah.
Um, but the visualizations of all the different planets was super cool,
Hmm.
and yeah, it's just a movie that fits my style of movies that I want to watch. So I
That's
really like
fair.
it for that. My biggest flaws with it are in the story, and I
Hmm.
think some of the character work, like the fact that Timothy Chalamet, his son, just kind of gets
Mm.
ignored to a
A
point.
little bit.
Um,
To a, yeah.
I think Anne Hathaway's character is like razor thin,
Yeah.
um,
I totally agree with
and
that.
doesn't really fully get her proper development.
Yeah, I think she
Um,
was pretty useless, to be honest. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I don't really like that. And I'm also not a super big fan of the whole black hole going back in time stuff
Yep. Hmm.
because it just it I feel like it strays like so far into the unbelievable in a movie that to me
Yeah.
feels like it's always trying to be realistic. That being said, I'm not going to argue it. Maybe it is
Mm.
realistic. I know that a lot of like the visuals they like consulted real scientists and physicists and whatever.
Oh,
So
they did. Okay.
maybe
Yeah.
the stuff about gravity being able to cross over dimensions or whatever, maybe there's like science behind that, but
I
to
don't know how I
me
feel about that, but
it
yeah.
seems it takes a lot of suspension of disbelief for me, and
Hmm.
also the fact that he figures out McConaughey figures out how to like he figures out that he's the one who moves the books and stuff, and so
Yep.
his immediate idea to try to get himself to stay is to do the exact thing that didn't make him stay, and that was
Yeah.
to is that and that was to make the book say stay in Morse code. It's
Right.
like, well, if that didn't work, why would you not change it? And then
Exactly.
if
Yeah.
you then play that out, it's like, okay, why in the moment would he not think, oh, say something else because that didn't work? Well, then also, if he then didn't say that and it actually convinced him not to go, then the entire movie wouldn't have happened. So it's like
Exactly.
you
It had to happen.
that and that's the thing, and that's where
Yeah.
it feels like the story kind of forced itself into a corner. Some people might
Hmm.
argue, oh well, that's a nitpick because like yeah, you got to have dramatic stuff like that for the story to happen, and it's like yes,
Sure. Yeah.
but to me it just doesn't work because again it just felt
Hmm.
cornered where it's like okay, well if he goes and says he's he's so set on stopping him in that moment, he realizes after that he
Hmm.
was meant to actually go and solve
Right.
everything. But in the very moment when he did the thing with the books to say stay, he very much wanted to stop himself.
Hmm.
But then he makes a completely nonsensical decision, which yes, he's under duress and he's very emotional. But like, I feel like
Yeah.
that's one of the key moments that would be sticking in his head was the moment that he left Murph. So, um, yeah, not the biggest fan of that. And I do think yeah, I think the script is really the
Yeah.
big thing that draws me back a little bit. So
Oh,
I
okay.
give
Yeah.
Interstellar a 9 out of 10.
Wow.
It's
Okay.
really good. It's still up
Mm.
there with a lot of great movies. I really appreciate the technical craft. Oh, and Hans Zimmer's score is also incredible. That's the other thing I want to
Hmm.
mention. Really
Yeah.
good. The sound design is awesome in the movie. Just all the technical stuff is just so good. It's just that for me, the way I rate movies, which one day we might make a whole video
Yeah.
about,
Uh
as much as I can admire technical craft at the end of the day, I rate movies. I rate
huh.
movies
Yeah.
purely just based on my enjoyment of them and
Oh, okay. Yeah.
how I can still appreciate technical craft, and technical craft can help
Yeah.
me appreciate a movie, and that's why I like Interstellar quite a lot because I do
Hmm.
appreciate those aspects, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to give it a super high rating
Hmm.
just because all the technical stuff is there if the story is lacking in some way, in my opinion. If people love it,
Okay.
well,
Yeah.
a lot of people love it, and so I respect that. And it is my
Yeah.
number one of these three, very easily.
Hmm.
So yeah, 9 out of 10 for Interstellar.
Okay. Awesome. Um. Yeah. I mean, before I go into my number one, which is obviously The Martian, if you haven't noticed, but to kind of counteract with Interstellar, I think that the last like half hour of the movie is where it just takes a drastic downward spiral.
I sort of agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think up to the black hole, I think
Hmm.
it's like it would probably be almost a 10 out of 10 for me.
I
I
don't
know
know if
you
I'd.
I know
Yeah.
you disagree with that, but
No, but like it's the decline starts when Murph is back in their old house, and well, not immediately, but she figures out. She's like, "Oh, it's my dad that was my ghost." I was like, "Okay, like that's just the most random thing ever. Like, how could you actually comprehend and say, yes, my dad is my ghost. He was trying to send me Morse code.
yep,
This is gonna save the world."
I
I was
agree.
like, okay, that's just like honestly, I think that's just kind of poor writing in a
I agree.
way. Um,
That's I don't I think I mentioned
yeah,
about cross-cutting in Interstellar. I forget if I
hmm,
did, but that's what
yeah,
I'm referring to. I think they cut back to Murph way too much with her being
a
like,
little
"Oh, it
bit.
was my dad." And then they cross-cut to
Yeah,
um Topher Grace is outside watching out for
I forgot he was in this movie. I was like,
watching out for
Topher
the brother
Grace,
to
what are
come
you doing
back.
here? Yeah,
That like and at one point they literally pull you out like midway
hmm,
into Cooper or Matthew McConaughey going into the black hole, they cut away to go to
yeah,
Earth. It's like why would you leave
yeah,
this
yeah,
moment as he's going through a black hole? Like I don't know.
hmm,
That doesn't fully work for me.
yeah,
It again, I give it a 9 out of 10. So it's not like a major. This isn't a major
yeah,
negative, but that's definitely one of the things where I'm like, why? I didn't
uh
quite
huh,
get that because I don't think that Murph's character really had much to do. I don't think Jessica Chastain really did much to
yeah,
add to those moments. So, not saying that that's her fault. I think it's more a script
right.
thing, but still,
Hmm.
in
I actually
such a
liked her character, but
well, the character of Murph is good. I think,
yeah,
and her performance is decent. I think she's done better in other
hmm,
movies, but I just think in that
yeah,
specific moment there wasn't much for her to do. So, like when she was
that's
saying, "Oh,"
fair. Yeah.
like when she was saying, "Oh, my dad was the ghost the whole time." It's like, "What?" Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally what you said. I agree.
Well, yeah, basically like all the realizations that the characters have, I just don't like. Because even when McConaughey was in the black hole and in that realm, he was like thinking to himself, he was like, "Oh, this was made by future people, future civilizations,
Hmm.
and put here in the black hole." Well, first of all, I don't see how that's even remotely physically possible to go inside a black hole and build the space realm in there. And second of all, how did you even figure that out? You know, it's just kind of like thrown in
Yeah.
there that it makes sense, even though it just doesn't.
Humanity could do anything.
Yeah. And then I, you know how I'm big on like the little things, like how exactly did he get out of the black hole and into the space station at the end? Sure, that would have taken multiple of many years to get there, but even still, it just felt random. Um, what happened? What else happened at the end? I'm trying to
I would
figure out.
think the way he gets out
Oh,
of the
and
black hole
yeah,
is the same way that the black hole was set up for him to help Murph was just the humans who
yeah,
set it
it's
up
all set
also.
up. I don't like the whole setup thing.
I mean,
Yeah.
the thing is, like, that all could have been set up by humans like millions of years in the future. Like that's the thing. So that's why the technology could get so advanced that yeah, maybe they perfectly figured out black holes
Mhm.
and how to traverse them. Again, it's a lot of suspension of disbelief in a movie that already has a lot of it because yes, it's a science fiction movie, but to me it
Mhm.
does really stretch it for me. It still works, but I totally
Yeah.
get the questions.
Yeah. Actually, you said a word as you were um, answering that reminded me of something. How they always said they, like they know all this. They sent us
Hmm.
here. Throughout the entire movie, they keep saying they, and throughout the entire movie, I'm like, who the hell is they? And then at the end, obviously, we find out that they is like that futuristic society. And I was like, damn, that's just like the lamest excuse for who they are, like ever. And then,
I think they were setting it up that they could have been aliens as well, but then that was
well,
the
even
twist.
still,
It was
you
well, it wasn't even
know,
a big twist, but yeah.
even still, it was just like so much momentum built up for nothing.
You
Um,
oh really? You think that's nothing? That like oh look what humans have been able to accomplish over all this time. Like we've
I just,
evolved to be able to
I mean,
solve
like,
black holes like that. I feel like that's pretty big.
sure, but that's probably like millions, if not billions of years from now, even if we're
Well,
still here
yeah,
for that. But
yeah.
Um, the very ending with Anne Hathaway. still being alive, not aged a day. On that, I guess the ending sets up that she's on the planet that humans are gonna go um, live on now because they're all on the space station. And I was like, I felt nothing. I feel like they tried to make us feel like, oh yes, yes for humanity. But
Mm.
I was like, whatever.
I,
I
I
just felt nothing.
I found that a really weird way to end the movie too,
Yeah,
because it almost picks up a bit more momentum to have him go back out. Like,
it
and
does.
and
Yeah,
also I feel like I don't know the whole story is saying that McConaughey is willing to give it all up in order to save humanity, which is great. But wouldn't you
sure.
think that
Yeah.
now that his daughter is like hospitalized on her deathbed, basically, that like this time he stays with her, you know? I feel
Well,
like
she
they,
told him to leave
yeah, and he should have said no. He should have been like, no,
in a
I don't
way,
want to
but
leave you
like,
again. And so then just stay with her until she dies, and then you could go find Anne Hathaway. She was gonna be in cryo sleep anyway, so she's not gonna even notice the difference. So
Anne Hathaway. Yeah,
yeah,
that's true. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that would
Yeah.
have been a nicer moment than trying to build back up a little bit of momentum. Like, oh, now he's gonna go to her. It's like, okay, yeah, we know that, but like, I kind of would have
Yeah.
liked it if he was just like, nah, I'll stick with you, Murph, and spend some more time with you. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
go running off again to go on another adventure. I want to spend time with you.
Hmm.
Now that there's so few moments left. I mean, you don't say that, but
Right.
yeah.
That's fair. Yeah. Um, I'll just say like a couple very small things before I get into my number one.
Sure.
Like you said, McConaughey, um, his performance, I would actually say that between the three movies, I think he has the best performance.
Okay.
Yet, The Martian is still my favorite movie, which I'll get into. But yeah, his um, performance I thought was fantastic. The crying, emotional scene when he's watching his videos is awesome. Um, his performance throughout, I think, is steady and well done. So I guess I'll just go into my favorite. The Martian. Yeah, The Martian is my favorite movie of the so-called big three right now.
Hmm.
I really like Matt Damon's performance in this, though obviously it's overshadowed by Matthew McConaughey in the slightest bit. Um, I really like how I would say real this space movie is compared to the other two, because to me it felt like a a real situation that supposedly would happen or could happen just on any regular day.
Mm.
Like compared to other ones, obviously stuff like catastrophic stuff happens, so you can play around with that. But in this one, you know, you um, an astronaut is presumed dead, but obviously ends up alive. So I like how you get to see the behind the scenes and the science behind like surviving on Mars where nothing grows. It's completely inhabitable. So you get to see the science of botany and how a person like survives on there. And then you come back to Earth and you see all the science of NASA, the building stuff, the fancy words that they use. Um, yeah, the performances of everybody, yeah, everybody in The Martian, I really like. I know you have, you're not the full, you're not fully on board with the tone of the movie, as you said before. But I think the tone is pretty much set. I like the tone because it is in twine with Matt Damon's character, because he's kind of like the cocky, um, like stubborn, know-it-all guy who I see kind of has a hard time processing. Well, not he kind of hides his emotions, and then obviously you see his emotions happen when the container blows up and everything goes wrong. You finally see that, and then at the end, the very end, because I was thinking back on how you said you didn't like the tone, but at the end, Matt Damon's like, okay, stuff's gonna go wrong, or stuff can go wrong. Now you can either freak out as maybe you think you should have done, or he can like get to work and do something about it. I think his character is the one that like um, thinks analytically, and tries to do something about it, as opposed to initially automatically freaking out. So that I think that's why he kind of um, plays it off in a way, and is a less um, dramatized. But there's still I think there's more drama in this one compared to other ones. But
Compared to
like,
Interstellar
ye, mm,
and compared to
I
Project Hail Mary, actually, I'd argue both. I don't know,
the
dude. I don't know.
The Martian is years above dramatization on Project Hail Mary,
Really?
but I'm trying to think very quickly on Interstellar. I think they're pretty. The Martian and Interstellar are pretty even.
Hmm.
I just obviously enjoyed The Martian more because of
Sure.
um, the realism and the flaws I have with Interstellar. So,
Okay.
The Martian, I would give a 9 out of 10,
Okay.
as you gave Interstellar.
So that's yeah. Okay. So The Martian's the only one that you're like strongly positive on.
Yes.
Okay. I
Yeah.
respect that. I respect that. I don't I don't know if I don't know if the issue is just in Matt Damon. Like, yeah,
Hmm.
I think his performance is good first of all, but like in terms of his character,
Hmm.
yeah, he has the mindset of like do something about it, whatever, and I'm good with that. But to me,
Sure.
it felt like every character was very much like, oh, it's gonna be all right. Like I don't think there was a
Eh,
single character in that movie that really felt that dramatic, and I think
oh,
that's my big issue is
sure.
that across everybody, it just felt like that entire movie, everybody was
Hmm.
like, we're gonna do this, it'll be okay. Yeah,
Mm,
not fully to that extent. I'm exaggerating, but
right. I mean, in a way, I see what you're saying, but I think that was more of just uh, like a contained freak out because they're NASA, and if
mm,
like you visibly see a person at NASA, or you see, or like this stuff gets out, you're kind of screwed.
hmm
So you kind of have to, withhold all the fear you might have. I It was more of like um I think there was obvious concern in the characters um throughout the story. But I can't see what you're saying, but throughout I just think it's more showing than the rest of them.
hmm
Maybe. Yeah.
And I would also argue that like Bro is stranded on an entirely different planet. There are
Yeah.
people, and granted he's not one of these people, but there are people
Hmm.
who will get lost in the woods within like 5 miles of like civilization, and they'll panic and
Sure.
like go nuts. And
Hmm.
and to me, yes, he doesn't have to respond that dramatically, but like I feel like I barely saw any cracks either. Like there was a little
Hmm.
bit, but like also especially when there's a storm or something, and I think part of the shelter breaks or something.
Yeah.
And I feel like that resolves so fast in the movie. So I think it resolves a lot of its conflicts that really could have built up like this dread that I should be
Hmm.
feeling while watching The Martian of like, oh man, he's all alone. There's nobody who can contact him or connect with him until
Sure.
later on, of course. But I don't know. I just didn't feel it. We could argue about that for hours, but
Hours.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting that you think that The Martian is more dramatic than or at least hits its dramatic moments better than Hail Mary and
Oh,
possibly
way
Interstellar.
better.
I don't think
Way better than Project Hail Mary.
I feel they're both pretty similar. I just think
I
that Hail
felt
Mary goes way more comedic.
I definitely see the similarities, but Project Hail Mary took it to the next level, not in a good way.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I just felt nothing, like no stakes, no sense of urgency while watching Project Hail Mary because they've pushed so much on the comedic side of it,
hmm
um, that there was just an unseriousness of it that you just forget that there's even a problem. It's like while watching it, you're in space, you're with Ryan Gosling and Rocky, and you go back to Earth where everything's going wrong. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that, you know? Like I
Yeah.
forget that there's a problem and a reason why they're there. Um, so yeah,
Okay. Um, from a visual standpoint, how do you
visuals.
feel? Which movie would you say is like the best visual wise in terms
Hmm.
of space or the planets and whatever else?
Um, well, it's hard to say because I really like the visuals in The Martian,
Yep.
but obviously that's kind of condensed into one planet, Mars,
Yeah.
which they do extremely well.
Hmm.
A little bit in space too, which is also done extremely well. Interstellar, you get to see um, multiple of many planets, atmospheres, all that stuff.
Hmm.
Project Hail Mary. See, Project Hail Mary is just such a blur because it wasn't my thing. But from what I remember, I wasn't super enthralled by what Project Mary had. It had its good moments. It had just you can tell that CGI kind of moments. So I think I would go with Interstellar right
Okay.
now because of variety.
Yeah, that's fair.
Um, but if we're talking about, um, I guess, if we're talking about who best gave a visual on what a planet should look like, I would say The Martian
Okay.
because it showed out on that.
Yeah. Yeah, The Martian
Yeah,
is definitely like the most grounded, which is a funny
yeah,
word to say with space movies, but yeah, the fact that it's very restricted to
yes,
Mars definitely
mm-hmm.
kind of holds it back, like you said, from the variety standpoint. But I do think it looks really
Slightly.
good. My pick
It
would be
does.
Interstellar. I
Mm-hmm.
think the way they visualize the black holes and the time dilation and things like that is really, really
Sure.
cool and I think unmatched. But Martian's really good and Project Hail Mary's good too. I really like the bit
Yeah,
with
yeah.
I already forget what's that red material called? Astrophage?
Something like that.
Something
Astral
like that?
phase, I think.
Something
Yeah.
like that. But when he's standing in that and it's like all the red and like it's like kind of glittering and like I think that was a really
Oh,
cool
that.
visual. Yeah.
I did not like that at all, and I
No.
think I told you that. Yeah.
I think you did.
To
I think you did.
me, to me, that just looks so fake. Like I know they wanted to make it look um, pretty
Yeah.
and futuristic and all that stuff, but I was like, oh man, they could have done this so much better. I get what they were trying to do, but they just didn't do it
Yeah. I
correctly.
I
Yeah.
think Project Hail Mary went the least for realism for sure out of the
Yes.
three, which I
Yeah.
don't think is
Yeah.
necessarily a bad thing.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I would agree that yeah, maybe it doesn't look the most realistic, but I thought it is cool.
Yeah, and
I also think,
even
oh, go ahead.
well, even not just looks realistic. I think just story wise, it's the most unrealistic too.
In terms of what?
Just everything in general, because like you said, there was, uh, like you said in The Martian, you felt no sense of urgency. I felt no sense of urgency from uh, Gosling, whoever the woman is on Earth. This I'm talking about Project Hail Mary. Um, like, of course, he was trying to get home, but like you didn't really feel that at in the moments. He was more of, and also like there's just so much. I could talk on and on about like the problems of this movie. Um, I just felt like there was no way any of this could have panned out the way it did with who the character is and what he was given
Hmm.
in a way, because like he's a school teacher who's obviously very smart in what he does because he wrote a book about stuff and they picked him up. But like he's thrown, but um, in the beginning he's like, yeah, don't send me to space because I don't know how to do this stuff. And then throughout the movie, he's doing all that space stuff. Like, how does he figure that stuff out if he literally said,
Yeah,
"Hey, I don't know how to do this," you know? Um. Oh, yeah. The big thing is Ryan Gosling just doesn't question anything that happens while he's in space.
that's right. I remember you saying that at the theater.
Um. He doesn't question. Well, first of all, why he's there, and also he doesn't question the fact that there's a rock figure that can is able to speak English and understand English. How does a rock know English? Um,
They do the
Obviously, in
translation thing. They
yeah, I
it,
don't,
it
I
doesn't make the most sense if you ask me, but they did
no,
the
not at
translation thing.
all, not at all. But yeah, because like any normal person, when they're in space alone, and then a random ginormous ship comes up uh on you and attaches itself to you, and then there's a glass wall, and then an alien comes up at you. Of course, you're gonna flip your lid and freak out and try to escape. But Ryan Gosling only has a little moment of fear, and then he's like, "Oh, what's up, man?" You know, they immediately become boys
That's
and
kind of
doesn't
true.
question anything.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's just there's no realism at all. I
Mm,
feel like in Project Hail Mary.
yeah. I For me, I feel like I think Project Hail Mary kind of showed its hand early enough that I was able to kind of just buy into just like, okay, it's just going to be kind of goofy and it's going to be about their bromance between a rock
Sure.
creature and Gosling. But I totally see your criticism. I would also say that I think of the three, I think Project Hail Mary's pacing and runtime I think are the most flawed of the three.
Yeah.
I feel like the story could have started a lot later and ended a lot earlier, and then balanced
Yeah.
everything out in the middle. But
Hmm.
because I don't know, I feel like they felt the need to start him like just waking up on the ship. I feel like we didn't. I feel like it was
Hmm.
just kind of unnecessary for that stuff. And I think,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of like the very final ending. There's like five endings to the movie.
Oh yeah.
It
Yeah.
it's definitely flawed. It's definitely flawed.
I think it's very flawed, but oh yeah.
But it was still a good time for me. Um,
Yeah, I mean, in in retrospect, I would recommend watching all these movies. Obviously, I
that's
did.
crazy. That's
I
crazy.
no, I'd recommend watching them just because you should watch at least everything once, most everything once.
No
But
way.
I
That
think so.
that's something else we would have to include in our if we do a video about our rating system is
Yeah,
like which movies do we recommend? I'm never recommending a movie under like a 7 to people. Unless what it's about is something that I think they specifically would be really into.
sure.
But definitely not if it's below like if it's a 5 or below, I never recommending a
Well,
movie that I'm giving a negative score.
maybe sure. Maybe recommending it wasn't the right word. But if somebody is thinking about watching it, I won't stop them from watching it.
Re- I would
That
still
makes
say
sense.
no. I mean, I'm not gonna stop anybody
Yeah,
from watching a movie, like whatever. But like, if I rated a movie like
hmm,
a 4, then
sure.
I'm gonna be like, no, it's not good.
Well, I'm gonna be like, yeah, it's an awful movie, but if you want to watch it, go ahead. Yeah,
Oh, well, sure, sure. That's
yeah.
not.
You know,
I don't think that really means anything then if you say that.
yeah. Maybe we just cut this part out, but
I
yeah,
don't know. It's funny.
yeah.
But yeah, I think we could just wrap up here with the performances now. I want to
Mm,
specifically like rate the performances as well if you're down, because
sure.
I'm curious to see what you say, and I'd also like to share my
Mm,
thoughts because it might surprise you. I don't know. It
mm,
took a lot of thinking because it's actually very close between two of them. Because Matthew McConaughey is easily better than Damon and Gosling. Not
sure.
necessarily just from an acting perspective, but also I think the character works better. Whatever. Like
Mm.
it's kind of tricky for me rating acting performances because I personally don't know how to act, and also
Yeah, you
and
do.
and also a lot of a performance also is tied into the writing, of course. So
Hmm.
it can sometimes be tricky, but I definitely think that McConaughey is a few steps ahead of the other two. But
Sure.
between Damon and Gosling, it took a lot of thought for me. But I think I would
Mm,
take Damon at number two
fair enough.
because I think he maintains his character the best
Hmm.
throughout. And I do like how he did, despite I don't like the fact that he wasn't the most dramatic or emotional. I think he was still very good at delivering what
Hmm.
was being looked for in the film he was in. Whereas
Sure.
the big thing for me with Gosling, which he's still good, I think it's still one of his better roles.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I personally feel like there's a few scenes like when they cut back in time to show him as like a teacher and when he's first discovering like the space program and stuff, he very much
Hmm.
has like this like science teacher vibe to him, which is what you want in
In
a
a
character.
way.
But
In a way.
I feel like
Yeah.
that was lost. I think I don't th-
In a way.
I don't
Yeah.
think he fully had a hold of that
Hmm.
throughout the entire movie.
Okay.
that being said, does it make his performance bad? No. Does it make it okay? No. I still think he was good, but I
Yeah,
think I prefer Damon. So what do you
that's
think
fair.
about those three?
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, I think McConaughey's performance is the best of all three, even though I like The Martian the most. Um, then I would go Matt Damon,
Okay.
and then Ryan Gosling,
Okay. So we're the
because
same on the actors. Okay.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool. Um, would you say any of them was a bad performance? Would you say Gosling was bad or
I mean, as I've said before, out to you outside of this, I think Gosling is just a consistent fine actor. Like
damn?
he never he
It's a
hasn't
good take.
he hasn't wowed me in anything yet.
Okay.
I'm just consistent. Like, okay, he was fine, nothing great. He wasn't bad, but he wasn't great. Um, the Project Hail Mary, I think, just looking at it for what the movie actually is and what it was meant to be, I think he did a fine job as usual.
As he does,
Um,
according to you. Yeah.
as he does. So like I can't be too hard on him because it felt like a very um recycled performance from Gosling.
Mm.
But not that it's a bad thing, but it was just consistently fine.
I
Yeah.
do think I I have said this to you already, but I do think
Mhm.
Gosling has kind of tended to recycle a lot of
Yeah.
his usual mannerisms and things, which I also agree is fine. But I would like to see him kind of maybe
Sure.
push his boundaries a bit more.
No, yeah. I mean, if he took this role way more serious, I think he would have been amazing.
It
It
wouldn't
would
have
have
fit
been
the
my.
movie though.
I think it.
You think
I
Gosling should have
well.
been playing dead serious against Rocky and all the
I think they
goofy
should
shit they did
just.
with Rocky, which we didn't even fully talk about Rocky. I think Rocky's one of
Yeah,
the
Rocky
worst.
is just a pass. Yeah,
Rookie's rookie. Rocky is
roughly.
one of the weaker points of the movie for me,
Yeah,
um but of course he's like everybody's favorite because he's just like, oh, look at the cute
yeah,
creature guy
yeah.
who makes funny
Hmm.
noises. Whatever. I respect people who had fun with him, but for the most part he
Sure.
was kind of fun, but then he got to be a bit much at times.
Yes, you did. Yeah.
But you think
Um.
that Gosling could have played way more serious? I think he already I think he cried like twice in the film. Like he was
mm.
emotional about like dying and
I don't think he was ever super upset about the fact that they sent him to space. I think he should have been more ticked off at him for that. Well, the whole tone of the movie, I think, was just wrong. Um, I think it should have been way more serious, and that would have allowed Gosling to play a more serious role. And in that case, I think he would have been way better um, in that
okay.
role as that. But just fine.
Yeah. I think for
Yeah,
what they went for, he was still good. And I
yeah,
think as much as I do prefer serious movies, if you're gonna do a fun movie, then make it fun. And I thought they did it somewhat for the
sure.
most part.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. At times.
but I would agree that it would have been nice if they maybe tried to take it a little bit more seriously than what they did because yeah, I think it went a bit far at points. But um,
Yeah,
still three good movies that, and you would totally agree with that. And
sure.
yeah, if you guys have seen Project Hail Mary, let us know what you guys think. Any final words to say about any of these films?
Um, watch them all and let us know what you think.
Check them all out
Yeah,
if you haven't already. I mean,
pretty much.
they're pretty popular films, so I'm sure a lot of
They
people have already
are.
seen them. But yeah, let us know your thoughts and share your ranking in the comments if you want to. And we will see you guys in the next video.
Yeah.